This system cannot be saved. You have to understand we're dealing with the most profound civilizational crisis, and people in the most frightening state of unconsciousness hope that maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 months, everything will be resolved as it always has. Let's go back to watching Olympic Games, and this old world of blissful ignorance will get back before Christmas. The crisis is systemic. You have the financial sector, basically speculative sector, people playing with numbers on a computer screen. And you have the physical economy, productive physical economy that you could touch. And if you add all of it up, you're looking at about a $3 to $4 quadrillion debt. That's 4 and 15 zeros. That is 50 times the world GDP. And what very few people understand, including the so-called experts, is that there will be no recovery at all and no economic reset in the short and medium term. The United States growth since the 1980s, if you take out all the money printed by the government, is 0%. Because as currencies crash, we'll most likely see hyperinflation first. There will also be an implosion of both the debt bubble, the asset bubbles in stock and bonds and real estate. So there's absolutely no doubt at all that over the next very few years, great fortunes, billion-dollar fortunes will disappear just like that. We'll have gigantic deflation with banks, insurance companies, pension funds, corporations going bankrupt, plus massive unemployment the world over. And that's the best case scenario, actually. The problem is that they're printing money to stimulate consumption because the elite incorrectly think that that is the problem. But you cannot have consumption without production. I can't consume if there's no production. Now the question is, why will this end badly? Well, central banks have absolutely no tools left to save the economy and save themselves. The rates, what are they going to go to? Zero? Are you going to make them negative again? It means that you have to pay to lend money to a bankrupt borrower. Businesses, large businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, they're going bankrupt. You have thousands of companies in all sectors are going out. And total losses will easily be in the trillions of dollars. Also, bad loans increase as businesses and individuals cannot afford to pay interest or the fees. Last year in the United States, an estimated 100 million loan payments have not been made. Not $100 million, 100 million loan payments. And that's not the whole story. It won't be long before the US debt hits $40 trillion. And it's precisely because of the financial hegemony of the US dollar that the world will have to bear the consequences of large-scale quantitative easing. In other words, the Federal Reserve will have to buy back all the stocks and bonds with the printed US dollars. What does it mean? It means that this catastrophic global inflation is on the way. Rising commodities prices will soon spread to all commodities around the world. In fact, China is seriously considering the scenario in which the dollar and the US bonds will need to be sold immediately. Why? Because Washington's actions will lead to global inflation and the catastrophic devaluation of the US currency itself. And so the systemic crisis, which we're witnessing right now, it's the worst crisis of the history of mankind, is returning the world to a situation in the late 1920s and the early 1930s. Most people are blissfully ignorant of that. The Bretton Woods business model is collapsing. The current crisis, just like World War I and World War II, will be a catalyst for the transition of society to the next technological paradigm. Understand that the world has changed, and has changed forever. And so the economy died suddenly, just like the Soviet Union died suddenly. You went to bed in one country, you woke up in another. And so the economy is dead all over the world. There's no more safe havens. And so the scale of the decline has not yet been estimated, but it is absolutely certain that the drop of world GDP will be much deeper than what we saw in 2008 crisis. But again, we're talking about the speed of transition from a steady state to a catastrophic state. And this is unprecedented. Hold on to your hats. This is going to be bumpy. I'm Daniel Estulin. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye.